And welcome back to Say It With Your Chest. My next guest I have up on the docket, number one overall draft pick, Geno McFly. How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you doing, Eddie?
Oh man, this got up at 7 o'clock in the morning for this. I am not a morning person, but here we are. We're gonna get through it together, man.
Yeah, time zones are tough.
So first of all, I steal this question from Ashley all the time, but let's just get the particulars out the way. How did you find the SFL, sir?
Well, probably like most people, I'm stumbling around on the internet looking for retro bowl leagues because I was into that sort of stuff at the time.
Mm,
And I found your YouTube channel and looked through a couple games, decided it was a good fit for me, and then bought a subscription.
just like that, no debate, just join right away.
Yeah, it was fairly quick because I watched a few highlights and
Hmm.
then I just decided just like click. It was just click from the start.
That's what's up, man. Committing your money just like that. I guess you saw something in it, but it's all good. So, what made you choose your position that you chose? You chose to play linebacker. Did you play football growing up?
No, I actually didn't play football growing up. My mom was very overprotective, and so she
Mm.
wouldn't let me play football. But I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, and we've had a history of great linebackers. Like currently, we have Jordan Brooks, and then I know we had Bobby Wagner, Cliff Averill, Bruce Irvin, and a bunch of other guys. So
I went to that stadium for the first time about a year ago. I've been to a lot of stadiums. I'm in a group of about 26 friends, and every year we all take turns visiting different stadiums. And I went to Seattle once, like I said, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, whenever it was. And man, I could not hear. It's easily the loudest stadium I've ever been to. Kansas City was loud, but Seattle is really loud. I mean, we were standing right next to each other. And there are times when especially when you guys are on defense, in which you cannot hear. It's crazy.
yeah, the stadium design is a big part of that because they
Yeah.
have the roof that channels all the sound onto the field.
Yeah. Oh man, that was crazy, man. If you're a football fan and you visit different stadiums, you gotta visit Seattle, man. It's bananas up in there.
For sure.
Describe, so you got your sub. How long did you have to wait until your first game? Because I was talking to others and they spoke on how they had to wait, weeks before their first games. They were just sitting in Discord in the minors, just waiting their turn.
Yeah,
How long did you have to wait?
I think it was about a month because I got my subscription mid-August, I think.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure the SFLM started mid-September, so it was probably about a month before I actually played my first game.
And what was it like down in the minors and in the SFLM Discord, being down there with a bunch of like-minded rookies, just waiting your turn? And once the season started and got going, how was your experience down there, particularly in your locker room as well?
Yeah, if I had to give the overall experience one word, I would say welcoming. Because I
Mm,
know as soon as I joined the Discord, everyone from the Gin Chat to SFLM staff was very welcoming and helped describe the whole process of SFLM to getting drafted. And it was just very calming and relaxing how they described it. And just the fact that it was a simple yet crazy process that they described to me. It just, I know, I don't know how to say it, but it just rang a bell in my mind. But the locker room, especially, I
hmm.
will die on this fact. Annapolis had the best locker room out of all the locker rooms this season. Even
Mm,
even after all of their losses, we started the year 0 for 3 with
hmm.
our third game being like a bad blowout to Albuquerque, and yet
Hmm.
we still had our heads up high. And I know after that third game, I was definitely down. I was definitely way down in the dumps as a
Mm.
player, but everyone in that locker room was just there to lift me up. And then that fourth game, we got our first win, and it was just such a good experience getting that first win.
I bet. So you spoke about your locker room experience. Your locker room has head coach Jay Hayden over there, who is also the newly appointed head coach in Charleston, where you ended up. Was he a big influence on you that made that locker room so special?
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember the one thing I remember about him the most is that he always made it a point every morning to try and post like an inspirational quote or something in the locker room. It was just something simple like a link to an Instagram post sometimes or something,
Hmm.
but it sticks with you. Seeing it every day, it just sticks with you. And that's something special that helped Annapolis get the top locker room spot, I feel.
Interesting. Jay was he came into the league, I want to say like maybe 4 seasons ago, I think it was. And he started off his career with Baltimore as their tight end. And he was also scouting for them. And he left from there and went to Queen City, and he was scouting for them. And then he left there and spent the past 2 seasons with me in Arizona as my assistant head coach. And I was just thinking back when you said that, because one of the things that I do with my team most mornings, sometimes I forget, or life gets in the way, and I overlook it. But I try to post something, a motivational quote, or moment or something like that, to just keep everyone's spirits up, because you just never know what your buddies in the locker room are going through. We talk in Discord. Some of us share our day or our life experiences. Some of them keep them to ourselves, and so you just never really know what they're going through. So I make it a point, at least I try to, like I said, to post something just to keep everyone's spirits up and to keep going, because you just never know what your brothers and sisters are going through. So I see he kind of took that on too. That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. What's up, Jay? Um, so now he's your head coach over in Charleston. So let me ask you, at what point did Charleston start reaching out to you about your services plan for them?
Yeah, I think the first message that DB sent to me was around mid-October,
Mm.
and it was just something simple, just like, "Hey, I know you're in Annapolis and you're from local, so I just wanted to talk to you about the linebacker spot." And I
Mm.
said, "Of course, I would love to play for my hometown team." And it just started going uphill from there. I know a couple weeks after that, I was going around and sending messages to all the teams that needed linebackers. And so I sent him his message, and he just said, "Geno, you play for Annapolis and you're from the Carolinas. You'd be at the top of my board for my first pick." That was the exact message he sent.
Mm.
And at that point, I realized that we started to have just a click. And especially since I did stats for them for about a month,
Who told
we
you
had
that?
that.
Who told you that?
That was DB.
Mm. Okay.
And I realized, especially since I did stats for them for about a month, that we already had that existing
Mm.
connection going on. And so I started to realize that they had a top pick, and it just started to click from there.
No, it's funny you say that. So you were running stats for them. You live in the area. You was already working with Jay, so it's like a great fit. And oftentimes we in the pros, we preach to the minors, hey, if you do stats, if you help scout, willing to help with social media, local beat writing for the team, or whatever the case may be, that will help your draft status and help you get drafted. Yet we just seen type attack not get drafted. And two other quarterbacks were drafted ahead of him, and now he's heading back to the minors. And sometimes I wonder if he thinks, "Wow, I've done all this work. He's scouted for Atlanta. He's scouted for his team in the minors. Yet he didn't get drafted." And I'm not sure those other two quarterbacks do or not, but that just went through my head. And sometimes I just wonder if guys like him say, "Wow, you guys tell me if I do all these things, it's going to help my draft status." But here you sit as a pro, getting drafted, you're from the area, you did stats for them, you already had a relationship with Jay, and that kind of helped you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, it kind of helped you out in terms of getting drafted. But guys like Ty and others who also helped did not get drafted with guys who don't, in that regard. So just interesting how that played out. And it was something I thought about as the weekend progressed this past weekend, and those guys, did not get drafted. So I guess it's kind of I don't know, unfortunate situation. But then again, everyone isn't going to get, there's going to be people not drafted regardless. But, we preached to you guys, how it helps. And, it didn't pay off for Ty this past
I
off
do
season.
I do actually want to say something about that. I know with Struthers that he was very quiet
Yeah, I heard
in
that too.
not only gym chat, but in the locker room. He only had like a
Mm,
couple messages maybe. And so I feel
mm.
like it was just something that he had reached out to Denver, probably. I was very surprised by that pick.
Yeah, I heard that he doesn't talk much at all either. I've heard those same sentiments from others who said he hardly spoke at all. I mean, I don't know if he's from the area or if he has a relationship with those guys at some point that we all just don't know about. But I also noticed looking at his build, his player build is better, So I don't know if that's played into account with their decision. I just don't know. But just interesting conversation and stuff to just look at when all this plays out. So, but we'll see how it goes for him. How would you feel? And this is a personal question of mine about about SFL GMs having read-only access to the minor league Discord server. And I asked that because, unless you're a coach in the minors or, you playing some kind of front office role down there, not every team has that access. And like you just alluded to a moment ago, Charleston had a rapport with you. You Jay was your coach. You did stats for them, and you've already had that rapport. So they have an advantage of knowing you, or getting the opportunity to know you as well as other players down in the minors that most teams don't have. And it's a running joke that Albuquerque is like Atlanta's farm system. And just this past season, yet again, their first round pick defensive end came from Albuquerque. They had a relationship with him. They know him well, interact with him as early and often as they choose. I'm sure he's probably reaching out to them, asking them questions. And so they have that advantage that most teams don't have. How would you feel about the pros having read-only access to the minor league Discord so we can get to know you guys better?
I'm a big advocate for that because I know most of my messages were sent in the SFLM chat.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
I know with Terrell and Jay, and they wouldn't have got to know me as a person if I hadn't been able to talk with them through Annapolis and through SFLM. So I feel like that's a big thing that needs to be brought up as soon as possible. That's very important.
I agree with you. I share those same sentiments. I've been clamoring for it, but we're told that you guys don't want to be treated like big brother, so to speak, watching over your every move and ready to give you a strike at a moment's notice. It's not like that. We're just trying to get to know you guys. And I think it's an unfortunate situation. And hopefully one day the league hears this and does something about it, because I've interviewed a number of people who've all are in agreement with me, but for whatever reason, it has not happened for us yet. And hopefully someday soon it does. So moving on, man. Describe your emotions being drafted first overall, and how was that day for you? Because I didn't get that experience. I came in season 3, and back then the SFL wasn't as big as it is today, and they just kind of threw me out there and said, "Okay, you're a Baltimore Crab. You're going to play strong safety, and you're going to be silver tiered player." So I already had some decent value, and there you go. Good luck. There was no draft. There was no minor league. So describe that situation for you. How did it feel? Like, did you have family watching the game with you? Was you just by yourself and just took it all in? How was that day for you?
Yeah, I tried to make it as much as a normal day as possible before the draft just to get sort of the nerves out. I know earlier that day, DB had said, if you get, if we choose to draft you, are you able to take a call? And so that sort of, right when he sent that message, it sort of clicked that I could be going to Charleston. And so right when I heard my name, it was like I just turned into a ghost. Just like I lost all feeling
Mm,
because I had never personally been like top of the line at much of anything.
mm-hmm,
I got a couple academic awards in school, but that was about it.
mm-hmm,
And so just being that, having that feeling that I was going number one, just, I guess, turned me into just realization, I guess you
mm-hmm.
could call it.
Yeah, I
But
get that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, just like that feeling of all this work, all this reaching out to everyone has just paid off and you're now going number one. And it's just, I know there's some people that have done a lot more. I will name names. TJ Harper. I know he's a big for the SFLM. He did a lot with the whole flex squad rankings and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely expecting him to go over me
Mm. Why do you
before,
think he didn't?
probably because I had that existing connection with Charleston. I feel like that was the big reason that they picked me because if I didn't have Jay and DB in my chat daily, they wouldn't have got to know me as a person.
Let me say something. Let me ask you something. It's funny you say that. Do you know Johnny Pickler? Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I've talked with him a couple times.
Oh, you did. What you talk to him about?
Um, I was actually trying to set up an interview with him with London, but
Mm-hmm.
just times didn't work out, and so we never actually got to talk voice to voice. But that was definitely where I thought it was landing before draft day because we had had a lot of talks, and so I thought that was a good chance that I was landing there.
Do you know his history in the league?
Somewhat,
What do you know?
I know he was drafted number one, and that was the year that they had the in-person draft, and so he flew to
Boston,
to do the whole filming thing.
season 14.
Yeah,
What do you know about his character or about his mannerisms?
not much. I don't actually know much about that. Not really.
Really?
I know he's from like Chicago area because I saw the news interview.
All right, slow down. First of all, he's from the Chicago area, but he way out there where it's safe at in the northwestern suburbs. So he good over there. So I'm from Chicago. That's why I say that. But
Oh,
I'm from the slums. He from where the sky's bright. The roads are paved and smooth, and everybody happy go lucky. Yeah, he from the area. But I just leave it at that. No, but I say all that because Johnny is an interesting character, man, and because I'm also interviewing on the show TJ Harper, and I won't say he's quite the Johnny Pickler of the defensive side of the ball, but he has mannerisms that remind me of Johnny Pickler, and you either love him or hate him. And as you get into the SFL and the pros and watch more pro games, he's been kind of more, quiet lately. But his first couple seasons in the SFL, man, he was a character, and he was must see TV for a lot of us. So I'll just leave it at that, and I'll let your team educate you on the history of Johnny 2K. I think these days he's Johnny UK because he's over there in London. But when you get a moment, ask your team about your buddy over there, Johnny Pickler. But I think the reason he was not drafted early it's because of his mentality. He's either love him or hate him, and you'll learn more about that as the season develops, I believe. Or better yet, just tune in when we interview him, because we gonna get into that a bit. So, but hey, man, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight, man. Or I should say this morning. And before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to get off your chest?
One thing I know, like we were talking about with TJ, he's been out there,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had a couple times where either him and me or him and DB have gotten into it a couple times. And so I just wanted to say, TJ, I know you're probably watching this. Just relax a bit. I know you're trying to be competitive and all, but it's it's hurting you as a player. I feel like
Elaborate on that.
because you're so when you get into it, you're so aggressive that I feel like it's hurting the way GM see you, and that's why you fell. I feel like you took it personally that I'm here and not you. So
Mm.
just relax a bit.
He's already declared himself as the future winner of the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. I don't know if you saw that,
I saw
but
that.
so here's the thing. I don't mind him being competitive. In fact, I love that people come out and are competitive. And I don't mind people being brash. I think it's actually kind of refreshing. It's just don't get so over the top with it. Like, for
Exactly.
example, Johnny. 95% of what Johnny posts and says and does, I love it. I have zero problems with it at all. I love what he does. Okay, just a quick history lesson, and I'm not going to speak on it too much longer, but he was drafted to St. Louis back when they went. St. Louis is now Motor City. They used to play in St. Louis until last season, and he would come out guaranteeing victories, talking about himself and his numbers and his teammates and all that. But he had this, it's all about me, you know, reputation. He would often talk about his teammates, but it was a lot of that talking was, look at my numbers, look what I'm doing. I'm going to the Pro Bowl, this and that.
I don't like that. I don't
Yeah,
like that sort of mentality.
we're going to go out there and we're going to stomp you. I don't necessarily mind that, but it's the smaller things. Like I remember once, for example, when he left Louisiana, he played for Louisiana for a season and left and went to London. And when he left, he put up a Twitter post of him on a boat, paddling away from a sinking ship, talking about how he got out of there just in time. And he did that right like a day or two after Louisiana went through hurricane, whatever the name of it was back then, and people lost lives, and they came out and claimed, "Oh, I didn't even know that happened. I haven't been paying attention to the news, bro. I'm not even trying to hear that, dude. I'm not trying to hear that." And
It's
so, it's stuff like that gets under my skin. I don't mind a competitive person, but also it's tough listening to that sometimes for people who aren't coaching, because now you're out here writing checks that your coach may not be able to cash. You know what I'm saying? And so, you just got to be careful with it. I don't mind people going out there and doing stuff to put eyes on them, because to be honest with you, before Johnny got to St. Louis, you know who watched St. Louis games? St. Louis and whoever they were playing. But once he got there, all that noise he was talking, and it made people tune in. I remember his first game
eyes
he
for
played
St. Louis.
Carolina, and everybody was watching that game. They wanted to see what was going to happen. So it's kind of like Floyd Mayweather. He used to say, "I don't care if you paying to watch me win, or if you paying to watch me lose. As long as you paying, I don't care." He kind of has that same kind of mindset, so to speak.
I will say one thing.
Mm.
Being competitive and taking it past the player, there's a big line there. So, like what you said with Johnny in Louisiana, that's taking it past the player. And that's something that I don't agree with. When you take it to someone's personal life, or real life occurrences, that's too far.
Hmm. I appreciate that feedback, man. And I appreciate you getting all off your chest. Anything else?
That's about it. Happy to be on the show today.
For sure, man. It's been a pleasure having you on, Geno. Good luck down there in Charleston, except when you guys play us. I believe you guys play us like week 10 or 11 or whatever it is further down the line. But tell Jay I said what up, man. And
For
I'll be
sure.
rooting for y'all. I hope y'all go 3-0 against everyone in my division. And I hope we come out with the W when we play y'all.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, it's been a pleasure, Geno. And good luck this season. Tell Jay I said what up.
Thank you. You too.
All right, buddy. Yeah, that was Geno McFly, #1 overall draft pick of the Charleston Predators. Have a good day, bro.